According to the National Electrical Code, specifically NEC 2020 edition, Article 240.24b, there is a specific height requirement for circuit breaker handles and occupancies where physically handicapped persons may be present. The code states that the highest operable part of the circuit breaker, that is, the handle that you would use to switch the breaker on or off, shall not be more than 48 inches, which is equivalent to 1219 millimeters above the floor or working platform. This requirement is in place to ensure that individuals with disabilities, particularly those who use wheelchairs or have limited reach, can safely and easily access and operate circuit breakers. It is important to consider this height limitation during the design and installation of electrical systems in residential buildings, commercial spaces, and any other location where accessibility is a concern. Firstly, understanding the specific language of NEC Article 240.24b is crucial. The phrase highest operable part clearly refers to the handle or switch that is used to control the circuit breaker. This means that any part of the breaker that needs to be manipulated to turn it on or off must be within the specified height range. Secondly, the height measurement is taken from the finished floor or working platform. This is the surface on which a person would stand or from which they would operate the circuit breaker. If there is a raised platform or other type of elevated surface in front of the breaker, the height is measured from that surface. Thirdly, it is important to note that the 48-inch height limit is a maximum. There is no minimum height specified in the code, but practical considerations would dictate that the breaker should be installed at a reasonable height that is easily accessible to most people. In many cases, an electrician will install the breaker panel so that the majority of the breakers are within a comfortable reach range for both individuals with disabilities and those without. Fourthly, this requirement applies to occupancies where physically handicapped persons may be present. This includes a wide range of buildings and spaces, such as apartments, homes, offices, stores, and public buildings. It is important to consider the potential for accessibility in all of these locations, even if there are no known individuals with disabilities currently living or working in the space. Fifthly, compliance with this code requirement is essential for ensuring the safety and accessibility of electrical systems. Failure to comply could result in fines, legal action, and, more importantly, create a safety hazard for individuals with disabilities. It is therefore crucial for electricians, contractors, and building owners to be aware of this requirement and to take steps to ensure that it is met. Sixthly, when planning the installation of a circuit breaker panel, it is important to consider the layout of the room and the surrounding environment. The panel should be located in a place where it is easily accessible and free from obstructions. There should be enough clear space in front of the panel to allow a person in a wheelchair to maneuver and operate the breakers. Seventhly, in addition to the height requirement, there are other considerations for accessibility when installing circuit breakers. For example, the breakers should be clearly labeled so that individuals can easily identify which breaker controls which circuit. The label should be large enough and easy to read, even for individuals with visual impairments. Eighthly, the force required to operate the circuit breaker should also be considered. The breaker should be easy to switch on and off without requiring excessive force. This is particularly important for individuals with limited strength or dexterity. Ninthly, regular inspections and maintenance of circuit breaker panels are essential for ensuring continued compliance with the code and for identifying any potential safety hazards. During these inspections, the height of the breakers should be checked to ensure that they are still within the specified range. Any damaged or malfunctioning breakers should be replaced promptly. Tenthly, it is also important to stay up to date on the latest versions of the National Electrical Code and any local amendments or interpretations. The NEC is updated every 3 years, and changes may be made to the code requirements. It is the responsibility of electricians and contractors to be aware of these changes and to ensure that their work complies with the most current standards. In conclusion, the height requirement for circuit breaker handles in accessible areas, as specified in NEC 2020 edition Article 240.24b, is a critical aspect of electrical safety and accessibility. By adhering to this requirement, we can ensure that individuals with disabilities have equal access to electrical systems and can safely operate circuit breakers. It is important for electricians, contractors, building owners, and anyone involved in the design and installation of electrical systems to be aware of this requirement and to take steps to ensure that it is met. By prioritizing accessibility and safety, we can create a more inclusive and equitable environment for everyone. Also, consider the placement of the electrical panel within the apartment unit. For example, avoid placing it behind doors that swing inward, in narrow hallways where maneuvering a wheelchair would be difficult, or in locations obstructed by furniture or other household items. The goal is to provide a clear, unobstructed path to the electrical panel. Furthermore, when selecting the type of circuit breaker panel, consider models with handles that are easy to grip and operate. Some manufacturers offer breakers with larger, more ergonomic handles that can be especially beneficial for individuals with limited hand strength or dexterity. These small details can make a significant difference in the usability of the electrical system. Also think about the labeling of the circuit breakers. Use clear, concise labels that accurately identify the circuits controlled by each breaker. Consider using labels with large, bold lettering for improved visibility, especially for individuals with visual impairments. A well-labeled panel can prevent confusion and make it easier to quickly identify and reset a trip breaker. It is good to consider the overall lighting in the vicinity of the electrical panel. Adequate lighting can improve visibility and make it easier to read the labels on the breakers. Install a light fixture that provides sufficient illumination without creating glare. This can be especially helpful for individuals with low vision. Moreover, ensure that the area around the electrical panel is free from clutter and debris. Keep the floor clear of obstacles that could impede access, such as boxes, tools, or other household items. Clean and organized space promotes safety and makes it easier to maneuver around the panel. Also, consider the placement of other electrical components in relation to the circuit breaker panel. Avoid installing outlets, switches, or other devices directly above or below the panel, as this could create a hazard or obstruct access. Maintain a clear zone around the panel to ensure safe and easy operation. It is wise to consult with an accessibility specialist or a qualified electrician who is familiar with accessibility codes and standards. These professionals can provide valuable insights and recommendations to ensure that the electrical system is fully compliant and meets the needs of individuals with disabilities. Their expertise can help you avoid costly mistakes and ensure a safe and accessible environment. Also, document all aspects of the electrical installation, including the height of the circuit breaker panel, the type of breakers used, and the labeling system. This documentation can be helpful for future maintenance, inspections, and renovation. Keep the documentation readily accessible for reference. Consider providing training to building residents or occupants on how to safely operate the circuit breaker panel. This training can cover topics such as identifying trip breakers, resetting breakers, and avoiding electrical hazards. Empowering individuals with knowledge can promote safety and independence. Review the electrical system periodically to ensure that it continues to meet accessibility requirements. As building codes and standards evolve, it is important to stay informed and make any necessary modifications to maintain compliance. Regular reviews can help identify potential issues and prevent problems from arising. Furthermore, when retrofitting or renovating existing buildings, pay special attention to the accessibility of the electrical system. Bringing older buildings into compliance with current codes can significantly improve the quality of life for individuals with disabilities. Consider incorporating accessibility features into all renovation projects. Remember that accessibility is not just a legal requirement, it is also a matter of social responsibility. By creating accessible environments, we can ensure that everyone has the opportunity to participate fully in society. Prioritize accessibility in all aspects of building design and construction. Lastly, consider the future needs of the building and its occupants. As the population ages, the demand for accessible housing and commercial spaces will continue to grow. By planning for the future, we can create buildings that are adaptable and inclusive for all. In addition to the NEC requirements, it's important to be aware of other applicable accessibility standards, such as those outlined in the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. The ADA sets accessibility guidelines for a wide range of facilities, including residential buildings, commercial spaces, and public accommodations. While the ADA primarily focuses on general accessibility requirements, it may also contain provisions related to electrical systems. Also, ensure that the electrical panel is readily accessible in case of emergencies. Clearly mark the location of the panel so that it can be easily found by first responders or other emergency personnel. This can be especially important in situations where quick access to the electrical system is needed to shut off power or address safety hazards. In addition to the height of the circuit breaker handles, also consider the placement of the main disconnect switch. The main disconnect switch is the primary means of shutting off power to the entire electrical system. It should be located in an accessible location and within the reach range specified by the NEC and ADA. Ensure that the switch is easy to operate and clearly labeled. Also, consider the potential for power outages and the need for backup power systems. If the building relies on backup generators or other alternative power sources, ensure that these systems are also accessible and can be operated by individuals with disabilities. Provide clear instructions on how to activate and use the backup power systems. Furthermore, when selecting your electrical equipment and components, prioritize products that are designed with accessibility in mind. Look for features such as large, easy-to-read labels, ergonomic handles, and intuitive controls. Choosing accessible products can simplify operation and improve safety for all users. It is wise to implement a preventative maintenance program for the electrical system. Regularly inspect and test the system to identify potential problems before they become safety hazards. This includes checking the condition of wiring, connections, and circuit breakers. A well-maintained electrical system is a safe and reliable electrical system. Also, provide adequate training to building staff or residents on how to identify and respond to electrical emergencies. This training should cover topics such as recognizing signs of electrical hazards, safely shutting off power, and contacting emergency services. Empowering individuals with knowledge can help prevent accidents and minimize the impact of electrical emergencies. Consider installing surge protection devices to protect sensitive electronic equipment from power surges. Surge protection can help prevent damage to computers, appliances, and other devices that are susceptible to voltage fluctuations. This can be especially important in areas with frequent thunderstorms or unreliable power grids. Also, be aware of the potential for electrical hazards in damp or wet environments. Install ground fault circuit interrupters, or GFCIs, in areas where water is present, such as bathrooms, kitchens, and outdoor locations. GFCIs can help prevent electrical shock by quickly shutting off power when a ground fault is detected. Furthermore, consider the use of smart home technology to enhance accessibility and convenience. Smart home systems can allow individuals to control lighting, appliances, and other electrical devices remotely, using voice commands or mobile apps. This can be especially helpful for individuals with mobility limitations. Also, be mindful of the potential for electromagnetic interference, or EMI, from electrical systems. EMI can disrupt the operation of sensitive electronic equipment, such as medical devices. Take steps to minimize EMI by using shielded cables, grounding equipment properly, and maintaining a safe distance between electrical systems and sensitive devices. Lastly, remember that accessibility is an ongoing process. As technology evolves and building codes change, it is important to stay informed and adapt your electrical systems to meet the needs of all users. By prioritizing accessibility, you can create a more inclusive and equitable environment for everyone.